Do you remember when you first got saved? Was it your friend telling you about Jesus? Was it the church telling you about Jesus? You probably doubted that Christianity was even real at first. They had to be relentless so that you could be convinced that the gospel was truth. What does relentless mean? Relentless means to try and try again, even when it gets really, really hard. This definitely applies to us telling our friends about Jesus. Why would we want to tell our friends about Jesus? Proverbs 11:30 says, "He who wins souls is wise." So therefore, it is a good thing if we tell our friends about Jesus. Now, how do we do that? Well, it starts with a good message. And let me show you what a good message consists of. A good message starts at the beginning. We're going to let these represent the beginning. This purple silk represents God. And God created us, and we're man, we're the red silk. But we chose to sin. So therefore sin is the black silk. And sin separates us from God. We can't be close to God because of this barrier of sin. Now you got to tell them that everyone has sinned, including them, and they can't be close to God because of this sin. This is the part of the message where you tell them about Jesus. Now this is going to represent Jesus. He was perfect, sinless. In fact, he went and died on a cross for them so that they didn't have to pay the punishment for their sin. Jesus took away their sin. It's gone. Now why do they want their sin gone? You should tell them that since Jesus has taken away their sin, that barrier of sin is no longer between God and us. Now that sounds like a good message, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, the problem with it is it may not be an effective enough message for them to accept the gospel. You have to be relentless. You have to try and try even when it gets really hard. So, let's pretend we are going to help convince our friend that the gospel is truth. We're going to let this green silk represent the first time we tell them about the gospel. So we follow something along the lines of what I just told you. Like they've sinned and it separates them from God. And it seems like a good message. I mean, you told it good and it seemed convincing. But who thinks that a lot of people accept Jesus on the first try?
No way.
Not exactly. Not very many people accept Jesus on the first try. You have to be relentless. You have to try and try really, really hard. So, we're going to try again. This blue silk is going to represent the second time we tell them about Jesus. So we're going to tell them again, a little differently, because people react to the gospel differently based on how it's told. And we think this time that for sure they're going to accept Jesus. But unfortunately, it's not going to work. Or it may not work. It may work, it may not. But we have to keep trying. Even when it gets really hard, we have to remain relentless. So we're going to try a third time. We're going to let this orange silk represent the third time we tell them about Jesus. So we tell them a little differently this time. And it seems that this time they start to get it. That when we told them the first time it made sense. And now when we told them the second time it makes sense. In fact, everything you've been telling them makes sense. They finally have accepted the gospel. All your hard work is paid off. Remember Proverbs 11:30. He who wins souls is wise. All because we remain relentless. Now, it took us 3 different times to tell them about Jesus so that they could accept the gospel. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to take 3 times. It may take more, it may take less. But you have to stay relentless. You have to try and try again, even when it's really, really hard. So now, go out there and tell your friends about Jesus. And I got only 2 words for you. Be relentless.
Woo!